Davino, can you hear me? I'm doing a sound check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Davino? Can you hear me? Okay, hold on just a second. Let me get some things straight here first. All right, I need to do a sound check. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, good. Thank you, Ed. All right, I opened it up to the public. We don't have, maybe a lot of the members are tied up right now, and so I am going to go ahead and get started. I hope everybody's having a great week. I hope that you are having a good time going into the holidays. Hope everybody's being safe. All right, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a few things to cover. And I want to make sure that I get everything that I wanted to put out. Hold on, let me stop this video. Okay. All right. Shout out to everybody, international viewers. Let me change my banner. All right. All right. And so we had two very good publications broadcast this week. One is from IGG, and the other one, no, not IGG, Court TV, and the other is Law and Crime Network. I think everyone's seen the Court TV one already, and Law and Crime Network put one out about key eyewitnesses. I really recommend both of them. The one on Key Eyewitnesses, Law and Crime Network is very good. And so those are two very interesting documentaries that were put out that I suggest. But a lot of the information is repetitive, okay, because they're not really giving any new information, but we have a lot of lawyers and people that, specialize in the field that are giving their opinion. All right, and so let's move on. First thing I want to talk about is the Court TV. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but there were some interesting points. The defense attorney was arguing that there's not enough evidence with the DNA. One thing I want to stop and point out is that the IGG reports for the DNA are due December the 1st, which is in 2 weeks. And I'm really not sure. Okay, shout out to Ed McIntosh. Good to see you. Welcome. All right. Just a minute here. Those reports are due December the 1st. I'm not sure if they exist. But basically, I hate to say it that way, but they're going to have to fabricate something, or if they don't have it. And, this is ridiculous, but I really don't know if they're going to turn anything in on December the 1st. They've got all the time in the world. All right. Welcome, Robert K. Okay. Welcome. I really don't know if they're going to turn it in or not, but what's discouraging about it is the judge is saying, hey, if it's not turned in, there's going to be more delays. So he's really, in essence, already preparing us for the possibility they're not going to turn it in, and that's going to be okay with him They're not going to be penalized. And I think that's really sad. I really do. But, they don't have to hold them accountable. The point of the matter is they've got this guy, and he's that's who they want to say did it. And so this is who they want to prosecute, and so a lot of them, they all working together, and Judge is looking really stressed out, but hey, this is his job to to moderate, to be the administrator here for this court proceeding. I just think it's really, really let's see if they turn in anything on December the 1st. I personally will contact Nancy Grace. You and me both. I don't believe it either. I hate to give a bad prediction, Davino. You can't get blood from a turnip. The reason I say I'm very doubtful about that evidence is because, remember, they told us that the FBI said themselves that their investigation of the DNA was unofficial. They went on the same DNA websites as, common folk. And then they called by telephone Moscow PD and gave them a tip that it was Bryan Kohberger. This is very unofficial. And so there's probably not any official records to turn over. And instead of just saying that, they're just stringing us along. That's my opinion of that. I could be, way off, but I don't believe there's any official records of the DNA process, because number one, the way they got the DNA, and then they saying it was the dad first and stuff. It doesn't make any sense. But we'll see. If they turn it in on December the 1st, I will be very surprised. All right. Hello, Mr. Sentinel. Shout out to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Happy holidays. Okay. This is a public live, so I'm not really sure if we're going to have prayer today. If anybody, I tell you what, if anybody needs prayer today or would like to have prayer today, then just send me a private comment here in the private chat, and with your email, and I'll get with you that way. Okay. Let's do it that way, because I'm not sure whether we will do it today or not, because usually these lives are members only, are private. But since we only, when I started, weren't that many people, so I say, hey, let me let everybody in. Okay, I just would like to give everybody an opportunity then. All right, thank you, Davino. And yes, I will be putting out the link in a few. So if anybody would like to come on stage and talk about it, we usually have our regular guest speaker, Davino, the Italian, and he's here. All right. And so we're going to get into that shortly. Okay. Let's look at this article that's really discussing the court TV broadcast first. And it says, Bryan Kohberger's defense team is going to attack the DNA evidence against him when he goes to trial in the grisly murder of 4 University of Idaho students, but it still might not save him from a guilty verdict. All right, my point on that is, first of all, why are they waiting to go to trial to attack the evidence? That's one of the things that I have a problem with the defense, is that all of their strategy, and let me know if you don't feel the same, if it's something I'm missing. It seems that all of their strategy is to have the case thrown out on a technicality. They're not arguing about anything that's being put out by the prosecution. They're not, what's the word? They're not denying or rebutting anything about what the prosecution has put out. It's all just fighting technicalities. Was the grand jury done right? Throw out the grand jury. Was the DNA done right? Throw out the DNA. Why are you fighting so much about the DNA? They haven't even turned in all the paperwork. The process clearly wasn't done correctly. We all know that. But the problem is They said in the PCA they're not going to present the DNA at trial. Okay, what about your client? What about what proves his innocence? I understand technicalities can have a case thrown out. You know, do that. Have your team do that. But you, the defense attorneys that are in charge of this case, present some evidence, convince us that Bryan Kohberger had nothing to do with this. Okay? Because the technicalities, that approach is not going to work if they're not playing by the playbook. All right? You're supposed to be working to defeat the evidence now. Now, what are you talking about? Wait until trial when you waive the speedy trial. And so now we're going years and years, God only knows how long, before it even gets to trial. And so you're telling us you're going to do the work in a year. You're going to do the work in 2 years. All right. Mr. Sentinel said Ann Taylor should motion the court to show cause, while Bill Thompson should not be held in contempt for not producing discovery. That forces the judge's hand. That's a very good point. And that's assuming that somebody's actually playing by the rules or the protocols over there in Idaho. That remains to be seen if that's being done. You know, I really, really, really don't know about that. I really don't have faith in those motions just based on what the prosecution has done thus far, because Ann Taylor's motions against the grand jury indictment were valid. And, you know, that was just tossed to the side. And so I think everything else is just going to be wasted energy in that direction, because they've proven that they're not interested in, you know, really just going by protocol. Like most trials I've watched, the judge is bound to the law, and you know, the calls that the judge makes are based on the law. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a lot of that here. All right, let's move down. And it says, I think from the defense, you're going to see a huge attack on the DNA, because if you get rid of that, you have a chance. You know, this is Ted Rollins speaking. I really disagree with that. I believe that the DNA evidence is, and this is what the attorney Asri was saying, DNA evidence is not a make or break part of this case, because number one, it's questionable how they retrieved the DNA evidence, when they retrieved it. You know, if it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, this guy was a suspect and was moments away from being arrested before they even had his DNA tested. You know, if I'm saying this correctly, he was already going to be arrested before they even had his DNA. I don't think they even had the results that they claimed they had until around the 25th to the 27th of December. And so, but they were chasing him well before then. So the DNA can't be the deciding factor. I really don't believe that. All right. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that came out. We do have some viewers in here. I'm saying happy holidays to everyone. Hopefully you won't be going in too stressed out about shopping and planning parties and events. You know how stressful the holidays can be. So thank you for taking out your time from a very busy month to come and share with us in this live. All right. And thank you to everyone who's donated so far to the channel in November, whether you did it through the super stickers or donations in the Cash App. I really appreciate it. And I think there was one in PayPal. Thank you very much. Very appreciated. It certainly helps with these subscriptions. We've got the channel looking so nice. It's so much better the way that it is now. And so thank you very much. All right, back to this case. I want to go back to the article. I mean, they need to get off this DNA because it's not make or break. It says, still, Rollins 57 said there are too many other things that potentially tie the accused murderer to the quadruple killing, such as having a white Hyundai, the same car seen near the crime scene shortly after the murders. I disagree again. Okay, just because there's a white car on surveillance doesn't mean that they can't prove that it's the perpetrator's car, and they can't even prove that it was Brian's car. All it is a white car. Again, it's nothing. It's very circumstantial. I was listening to Bruce Rivers. He gave an update, his opinion on the case, and he was saying the same thing, that the case is very circumstantial. It's circumstantial with or without the DNA, okay? Because touch DNA from a single source saying it's only his. I think what's going to happen is a lot of the things that they've instituted to make us believe that it's Brian is backfiring. That's not to say that it's not Brian. That's just to say the way they set up the PCA, there should have been a lot more forethought. All right, there should have been a lot more forethought. And the Court TV documentary is very, it's very informational, but it's still a circumstantial case. It says, in addition, Kohberger had his cell phone off, which made it harder to pinpoint his exact location while the Moscow murders were taking place to give him an alibi. He thought if he turned his phone off, he'd get away with it. This is the sentiment of a lot of people, okay? This is the sentiment of a lot of people. And I did a video, Kohberger made a mistake, and I was talking about that very thing. And unfortunately, my conclusion was that he did turn his phone off for the simple fact that he turned it back on. I think that was a mistake also, because if you turn your phone off while you're driving and then you turn your phone back on before you get back to your house, there was nowhere for him to go 3-4 o'clock in the morning to, charge up his phone. So he had to have a charger with him. And so while he would turn it back on near Blaine, my explanation for that would be is that he didn't know where he was going out there in the boondocks. If you look at the map of Blaine, Genesee, those roads are highly industrial roads, a bunch of tractor trailers traveling through. They're not, urban centers out there. There's not even traffic lights, street lights in a lot of those places. So it was dark. He probably turned it on to use his GPS. That's my guess. If the phone pings are accurate, I'm not saying they are. This is on the assumption that they are, because what they were talking about on Court TV is that he turned his phone off. To me, that's not a big deal. The thing that's a big deal to me is that he turned it back on. Okay, you're out here in the boondocks near Blaine, which that's also not good, because when you think about it, he had to pass through Moscow to get from Pullman to Blaine. There's not a lot of through streets. He had to pass around. It's very difficult to see. I don't want to change my screen right now, but we've all seen the map of the phone ping data. He had to pass through Moscow to get to Blaine. That's not good for him. That's not good. And then to turn your phone back on, I think he turned it back on because it's the boondocks out there. There's not a lot of street lights. There's not a lot of anything out there to be driving through there in the dark. Maybe he didn't know his way back to Pullman and he used the GPS, and that's the route that the GPS gave him. Okay, that's my explanation for what this would, what would be the rationale for turning the phone back on. But the fact that he turned it on negates the idea that his battery went dead and it was in airplane mode. If it was in airplane mode, then he took it off airplane mode. And so, that's going to be a problem for him. That's not enough to convict somebody. I'm just saying that's enough. That's a problem. That's a problem for me. Put it that way. All right, let's look at a little bit more of this, and then we'll move on to the next point. All right, because people are getting really sensitive about this. It's divided people into pro Bryan Kohberger innocence versus Bryan Kohberger is guilty camp. It's divided a lot of people. And I think that's really unfortunate, because we all need to remain unbiased, right? Okay. It says, when asked why he thought the knife sheath had been left behind at the scene of the bloody slaying, Rowland said he believes it was a complete accident. I don't agree with that either. So far, he's striking out, because if he had left the knife sheath by accident, he had time to go back and get it. Once you get in your car and go home or whatever, and we're gonna get to my theory on that also. He had time to go back and get it, because if you have a K-bar knife, you've committed murders with it. You're leaving the scene. At some point, you're gonna want to put that knife back in the knife sheath. Okay, so just keep it from dripping blood, or leaving evidence. At some point, you're gonna want to put it back, right? And so, how can somebody forget? That's like saying you forgot your charger, or you forgot your, these two things go together. And sooner or later, if he brought the knife sheath with him, then evidently he used his knife sheath. He wasn't just interested in the knife. At some point, he would have been looking for it. And so he would have been I believe he would have been looking for it. And they say that the white car that's supposed to be him, kept coming back in and out of the neighborhood. If that's the case, he saw that there was no police at the house. There was no one at the house, really, unless maybe there were students in there. Who knows? He had plenty of opportunity to go back and get it. So I disagree with that. Hello, Rusty. Oh, good to see you. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for coming out. All right, to the Wednesday live, supposedly members only, but it's open to the public today. Anybody that would like to come in and participate is welcome to join. All right, and please don't forget to like the live, okay? That's a way of supporting the channel when you like the videos. Thank you so much. And so why would the sheath be off his belt? I agree 100%. In the Court TV documentary, somebody said he believed that the sheath came off while he was fighting. One of the victims, Kaylee or Maddie, was fighting for their lives. Even so, regardless of how it came off, the person had time. Hold on, let me put your comment up there. He had time to put it back. To go back and get it. Because if it was on his belt, that means he had even more of a psychological attachment to the sheath. And if he had left the house, and he would have, even if he didn't realize it while he was in there, he would have immediately noticed that he didn't have it. Okay? I just don't believe that. And so most people have, something around the leg or the waist to connect the sheath. If it was snatched off during a battle, he would have felt it when it fell. He would have felt it when it fell, right? So he would have felt right then. Okay, let's go back to Robert K. Why would the sheath be off his belt? That was his comment. If he was fighting with Maddie or Kaylee and it came off, he would have felt it. If you got something attached to your leg or your waist and it's snatched off, you would have felt that. He would have felt, it's reaching. It's reaching to think that this person wouldn't have gone back to get the sheath. And it's possible that they would have, no, I just don't believe that. All right. And then Davino's comment was, unless somebody either pulled it off the belt or it was planted. I'll go with B, that it was planted. Really. All right. We got Leslie Vasquez in the house. All right. Welcome, Leslie. We had a slow start today, so our live is public today. All right. Shout out to Leslie. So good to see you. Happy holidays. I believe I'll go with that it was planning. Because if you remember, Howard Bloom told us that the first time they sent Howard Bloom and the New York Post reported the first time they sent the sheet in, there was nothing on it, and they were thinking that it was a dead end. I read that in the New York Post and Howard Bloom months ago. And so I believe there was a sheaf there, because when I look at the warrants that they applied for, they were looking for a sheaf during the first week of the investigation. I was thinking that, the sheaf didn't come into play until December. That's not correct. Unless these documents are doctored, they were looking for a sheaf within the first week. I believe that Monday, that Friday or that Monday, they were sending out a warrant for the sheaf. So there was a sheaf there, but the New York Post and Howard Bloom both reported that the sheaf had there was nothing on it. There was nothing on it. All right, so I just don't believe that there was any DNA on it. I believe that the DNA is what was planted. I think whoever left it shouldn't have left anything. Okay, but even if the perpetrators hadn't left anything, somebody could have planted a sheaf. At the minimum, I believe that the DNA was planted. I do. And that doesn't exonerate Bryan Kohberger. That means that this is the list that they were willing to go once he became a suspect, to say that it was him. Hey, we got DNA and an eyewitness, and neither one of them are strong evidence. The DNA is terrible evidence, and Dylan's eyewitness is a terrible piece of evidence. Neither one of them is really a good idea. All right. I'm going to scroll through here a little more, and then I'm going to throw out a link. So if anybody would like to come on stage and speak, most likely I'll bring Davino. He's our regular guest speaker. And hey, we can hold up to 10 people on here at one time. So, all right, let's go to another comment. If he was wearing a boiler suit, it would be a problem to wear the knife on his belt. Okay, why do you say that, Ed? I'm not sure what that means. On his belt. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. All right. Okay, here's a good point. Leslie. Okay, Les, didn't Papa Rogers say that a sheep was left behind before the PCA came out? I can't remember that far back. He did. That's an excellent point. He was talking about the sheep the last day of November. So we know for a fact that, Papa Rogers mentioned the sheep. The sheep was in the picture in November, because the warrants from the police said that they were asking around about, and then a store owner in Moscow reported that the police came in asking about a sheep the week, right, days following, so the sheep was there. It was that there was nothing on it. This was reported in New York Post, and this was also the testimony of Howard Bloom. All right, shout out to Alice there in Scotland. All right. Much love to you, Alice there. Good to see you. Good to see you. Happy holidays to you, sir. Happy holidays. All right. All right. How's the weather over there, Alice there? Is it very chilly cold already, or is Scotland blooming with the fall leaves falling or whatever? Okay, I see what you're saying, Ed. That was an excellent point, Les. I see what you're saying, Ed. Now let me put the link out here. That's the wrong one. And if you don't know how to use it, all you have to do is click on the link, put in your little screen name, whatever you want to call yourself, and click Enter Studio. And then I'll see it and I can bring you on. I'm buffering a little bit, so give me a minute to get this link up there. But the sheaf was there. It just that it wasn't, there wasn't anything on it. And so whoever did this was, I believe they were trying to leave a calling card for Maddie and Kaylee, and the police capitalized on it. You know, I don't know. I mean, it was there. It was there, but there was nothing on it. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, Ed. Like okay, the Dickies suit. Well, what if you can put your sheath belt around the outside of it, but it would be hard with the suit. I see what you're saying because it's one piece. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you're right. You're right. She was saying, did Dylan report that he had on a shirt and pair of pants, or did she just say he was dressed in black? Does anybody know? In the PCA, did she say he was just dressed in black, or did she say that he had on a shirt and a pair of pants? I can't remember. All right, let's finish up this article so we can move on. All right, it says, I believe that Maddie Morgan and Kaylee Gonsalves fought back, and whoever was in there with the knife, that's what the girls took. They grabbed it, and that's why it was there. I can't believe any other scenario that makes sense. Okay, that makes absolutely no sense at all. I mean, Rollins somebody must have wrote the script for him, and this is what he had to say, because that makes absolutely no sense. Nobody, whoever did this was on a rampage, and those girls didn't stand a chance of taking anything from the perpetrator or perpetrators. That makes absolutely no sense to me at all. There's no way in the world, and so these are the same people that told us that everybody was asleep. Remember, they were telling us everybody that they were asleep. Now they're up fighting, taking knife sheaths from people. That was I found that to be a little insulting to my intelligence that he said that. All right, 1 minute, please. Yes, that was very insulting to my intelligence to say that they took anything, because, especially if it was more than one perpetrator, those girls didn't stand a chance. They weren't just unalive, they were abused. Oh, the link. I forgot the link. They were abused, you know. Whoever, I feel like one of the charges for this should be one of the charges should be abuse of a corpse. In my opinion, they should be charged with abuse of a corpse. Be honest with you. All right, here's the link, and Leslie posted an explanation of how to get into it. Thanks, Les. All right. Rusty, thank you for purchasing the sticker. They're super cute, huh? I know your refrigerator is bling bling now. All right. Okay. Thank you to everyone who purchased from the merch store. I think somebody purchased a mug. I'm not sure, and I really haven't been checking it. Shame on me. But thank you to everyone who purchased merch, who donated this month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I really appreciate it, all the donations help to keep the channel, not only help it run, but also to improve it. We've been able to upgrade from V to Adobe. We've upgraded to StreamYard. And I've also picked up another subscription for videos and AI. I'm trying to learn about that. I'm going to take workshops on, using AI and videos because that's the new thing now. But thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Now, let's see. We were talking about what this man said about them grabbing something away from the killers. That's ridiculous, honestly. All right. It says, whoever did this is Roland still speaking. Whoever did this, whether it be Kohberger or somebody else, it's the last thing in the world, especially if it was Kohberger, Mr. Criminology. It's the last thing in the world that person would be able to leave behind his DNA. I'm not sure what he was trying to say about this. It paints the picture of the ultimate scary boogeyman that there's no way to defend yourself on somebody that's analyzing allegedly the art of killing. That's basically what I think they're going to argue, that this guy researched this and followed through with it. Now, he may have a point there as far as the perpetrators trying to paint a picture. I do believe that that's part of the scenario, but beyond that, anything that Roland said is just really not. He was the executive producer for the documentary. It's very biased, and most of what he said made no sense to me. Now, if you take a look at the crime scene photo here, there was absolutely no fingerprints on the door, hardly. You can see it's a little dirty, but there's no fingerprints there. There's no blood. There's none on the front door. So my conclusion is that the perpetrators left from the balcony. That's my belief. I believe after the job was done, they left from the back balcony and they went in the woods. And if they didn't change their clothes in the house, they could have done it in the woods. They could have done it in the woods, right? They could have done it in the woods. All right. Let me okay, we have Divino, the Italian, coming to the stage. I don't know why you took your avatar off, Divino. You need to put it back. Okay, let me add Divino to the stage. Welcome.
Divino is here. Che si chiede? Come sta tu giornata? Hey, tua famiglia felice. Tua famiglia felice. Ringraziamento.
Happy holidays. All right, no echo today. Listen, happy holidays to you, sir. How are you?
Too. I'm doing well. Can't complain. Buona vacanza to you as well. Thank you so much.
All right.
Mille grazie. There you go.
Listen, I think that by looking at the front and the back doors from the crime scene, my theory is that the perpetrator or perpetrators left from the back, the balcony. That's what I believe. I don't think they left out of either door. And some people are saying, a lot of pictures that suggest that there's blood on the balcony.
Yeah, there is. Say about that? Yeah. Outside of X's her door or window, whatever you want to call it, on that balcony, there is a massive spot of looks like blood to me. And if you call right, that I believe that's where the ladder was.
Yes. All right. Hey, Scotland is in the majority today. Okay, we got Alice there and Ed. Okay, so we Scotland strong today, Divino.
All right, cool. Scotland. Nice. Love Scotland. Beautiful country.
Yes. Okay. We got people talking about the cleanup here.
Mm-hmm. Over here. The cleanup. Where are we going now?
If the phone went, you know, if Xana and Ethan got home at about 1:50 or even before that, eating pizza, and Maddie and Kaylee got home about 2:10 or something like that, he couldn't have been waiting in the house. He couldn't have been, because they were already home. Okay, so if he got there, earliest he could have got there according to the phone pings is what, 2:45. You know, the drive from Pullman to Moscow, if he came straight away, earliest he could have got there was 2:47 or 2:45. So he couldn't have already been in the house. I kind of believe that he could have been, or whoever did it. But if Xana and Ethan were home eating pizza and she was on the phone talking to her father, and the ping said that he was still in Pullman, Kohberger couldn't have already been in the house. But if it was other people that did it, they could have already been in the house. But he couldn't have been. He couldn't have already been in the house. So if Kohberger did it, how did he get in the house if everybody was already home when he got there? How did he get in? How did he get in?
Good question.
All right. Shout out to Jabez. Welcome to the live. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Happy holidays. Give you a shout out. All right. I just feel like he left from, whoever did it left from the balcony, and they went to the woods to square themselves away. And at any point during that time, they would have realized they didn't have a sheep. That's just common sense to me. But I could be, I could be wrong. All right, now let's see. What I had. I'm trying to change my screen. This is what I want to talk about next. And like I said, this case has divided people. There are people that get just are getting highfalutin mad if you say Brian did it, and then you got people that are being very insulting if you say he didn't. And I think that's natural, to disagree on the case, but at the same time, we don't know these people. We don't know Brian Kohberger. We don't know him. We have our intelligence to be able to put our logic in the case, but we don't know him. He could have 10 different personalities for all we know. We don't know him. Okay? The evidence against him is not adding up. I have to say that it's not adding up. I don't have a problem saying that. That's what made me start the channel. It's not adding up. But at the same time, we don't know him. And they say, that serial killers are very
Melissa?
charismatic. We don't know him. All right, here's the next point. Let me change my screen. So glad you could join me today. Let's see. It's buffering. Okay. Now, here's another thing. I want to know what you think about this. All right. I want to talk about the doctor's appointment. Brian Kohberger went to his doctor's appointment 4 days after the crimes. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of it, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. There are two different possible scenarios for this. All right, it says Kohberger continued his routine after 4 Idaho students were killed. Kohberger went to a medical appointment, graded schoolwork, and greeted his neighbors. Some who interacted with him said he remained chatty even when fear spread in the community. All right. 4 days after the crime, when many students in the college town of Pullman, Washington, were canceling their appointments and leaving the community amid fears of a killer on the loose, Kohberger attended a routine medical appointment near his apartment. A receptionist at the office who asked Insider not to name her, blah, blah, blah. Kohberger was so friendly. In fact, her boss commented on it. She said, "He's so nice and charming." She never says that about anybody. the receptionist told Insider, I was like, yeah, he really was. At Washington State University, where Kohlberger was studying for a doctorate in criminology, he continued working as an assistant. Can you hear me? All right. What do y'all think about this doctor's appointment? And down here, they're talking about how it said he wasn't a great TA, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about that and Aaron Dash. But what do you think about this doctor's appointment? I think that it could be either, that could go both ways. I think the doctor's appointment could be something to exonerate him because it showed that he didn't have any cuts or bruises on his body. I guess he didn't, because we really don't know that either. The doctor is bound to patient-doctor privilege. He can't, if he had something on his body, the doctor can't report it. You know, he can leak it and get sued. But far as we know, when we saw him in Indiana, I didn't see anything on him. Some people say he had something on his wrist or whatever. A couple people tried to point to his neck, but I think that was Photoshop. Because as far as I could see, he didn't have any cuts or bruises, which is problematic because, you know, attacking 4 people with a blade, any kind of blade, it's a possibility that you cut yourself. But with a machete, you're not necessarily gonna cut yourself because the machete has a handle just like the
Hi, Mommer?
You can cut people with you can cut people with a machete and not cut yourself. Now, a smaller blade like a K-bar, it would be more likely that it would slip. But anyway, back to the doctor's appointment. It could either be exonerating because he didn't have anything on him, or, as some in my family suggested, is that he pre-planned to go to the doctor as part of his alibi. He wanted people to see that he went to the doctor and that he didn't have any bruises, and that if he did, maybe he would have canceled it. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? We're talking about the doctor's appointment. All right. Shout out to Annie Ruler.
Hi, I'm trying to get in touch with Brian. Is he in today?
Yeah, he's in.
I'm Dave with National Recovery Group. Do you think he might be in sometime later on? Or?
Oh, he's in. Trust me. He could be.
All right, I'll try to give a call back later. Thanks. Appreciate it. Huh? Bye-bye.
You know, Ashley Banfield said she was trying to call him in jail and she couldn't get through. Well, he's in. If nothing else, he's in. Now, which one do you all think? Let me put this in a poll. I'm going to see what you think about this doctor's appointment. Let me make you a poll right quick.
Medical appointment 4 days after the MERS. Well, what was his appointment for?
It was just a routine medical checkup.
Oh, okay.
So evidently he pre-scheduled it, you know. Evidently it was already scheduled.
I mean, here's a good point of that, because if, let's say, usually someone in a situation like that would normally get nicked up or something, or cuts on him. If he would have gone to that doctor's office and they verified this, and let's say if he had cuts on him, if that were the case, that would have been probably reported. But you know, if there's nothing on him like that is showing any possible evidence, I mean, if that's even true, that definitely puts him in the clear, sort of.
Yeah.
Because if anytime when you play around with weapons like that, you're bound to get nicked or cut. It happens. Okay, it's normal. Especially in that state of mind, God knows mayhem and whatever took place. Yeah, someone's gonna get nicked. Or so if he had to go there, he gone there for that doctor's appointment 4 days after. I mean, that stuff. If that was on his body, you know, they could have, you know, like I said, verified that. That probably would have been reported. You know, it would have been in the report or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So that is strange, but if it, you know, if he has no marks on him and all that, then I mean that looks good for him.
Right. That looks good for him, and you know, that's a lot of some people in my family were like, well, he could have went to the doctor to have on record that he didn't have any cuts or bruises on his body.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't. It's true. Like I was saying, it could be either way. And so, what about his behavior? Because everybody in this article here, the people at the doctor's office, the people in his apartment complex. Well, here, let me read a little bit of it. It says, Aaron, that was the guy that lived above him. Here's his behavior from the student's perspective. All right, a criminology student named Emily, who was asked to be identified only by her first name.
Hello, I'm looking to speak with Shirley.
Said he had been gruff and difficult to work with early in the semester. After the killings, she said he seemed to lose interest in teaching, assigning his students to write essays and handing back uniform high grades. After he didn't grade at all, he was not a great TA. All right, but at his apartment complex, Kohberger remained his normal chatty self, neighbors told Insider. Kohberger moved into a unit downstairs from Aaron Dash, a 28-year-old engineering student at Washington State University in August, and immediately introduced himself. He would stop and chat with Dash and his roommate, often attempting to make plans to hang out, though their schedules didn't line up.
Hello.
Dash said nothing suspicious.
Charles.
Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania on December 30th. Prosecutors say they made a biological DNA match from the knife. Okay, we already know that. Okay, so what do you think about his behavior? I mean, the students are saying one thing, his neighbors in the doctor's office is saying another. So who is telling the truth? Huh? Who is telling the truth?
Call this guy on the phone, see what I can find out about him.
And let's look at this poll. I think it's on the doctor's office.
Okay, let's talk about what do you have for me? Okay, so tell me more.
You're split on there.
Yep, I know we definitely can help you with this.
Okay,
right, let me call him back and I'm gonna call him.
It may have been just a medication management appointment with no real
something I need. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point, Firefly. Because
he's
the article.
He's in California. I thought he was in.
Are you talking to us?
Oh, wait a minute. You're in California.
We can hear you.
Oh, he's in California. Okay, my bad. I thought he was in. Oh, okay. He's in California. Okay, I have to call him later. Well, that ain't good. Oh my God.
Are you talking to us?
Damon, you're just a nut job.
Listen, what I was saying was the appointment was just a regular appointment to get a checkup. It wasn't because he had some problem. All right. Andy Ruler said, I think doctor's appointment is a good alibi, but taking 14th off was weird. Okay. Who said that he took off the 14th? Because I know they were off that Friday. The school was closed that Friday. It was what I heard was that he was at work on the 14th. So does anybody know for sure? The appointment was just for a regular checkup, is what these articles I've read have said. He wasn't there because he had any specific problem. All right. Now, I know Ed said I have a problem believing that he's a genius Superman. I know he's not a genius Superman because if he knew anything at all about this case, anything about those crimes, he shouldn't have been fooling around with his phone. That's my opinion. Okay, let's say Brian Kohberger has never been to 1122 King Road, but he knew something about the crime. Okay, and he knew what went down, or he had some knowledge. He should have never been fooling with his phone. The police should not be able to say that between 3 and 5, this guy's phone wasn't hitting any tower. Okay, that's not good. Okay, it's not good for so many reasons. And so instead of going back tracking over it, I'm gonna suggest my video, Kohberger made a mistake. It's talking about the phone pings and my theories about that. But he shouldn't have been fooling around with his phone. Even if he knew something was going to happen, he shouldn't, leave your phone on and leave it at home. If you don't want anybody tracking where you going or whatever, for whatever reason, you didn't want your phone, tracking you, or you didn't want to be bothered with people calling you. But don't turn it off and turn it back on and have this window of time to where these people are saying you were doing something you didn't have any business. That's not good. All right. Now, Jabez, if I was BK, I would hang up on Ashley. I think Ashley is the last person that Bryan Kohberger wants to talk to, Ashley and Nancy Grace, because they haven't been giving him too many breaks. I think this is the last, if he was to take a phone call, I think that these two would be the last two he would want to talk to. All right. Let's see. Yes, Thompson, FBI, and MPD meet Brady sanctions. Who else is holding on to that info? FBI may just need to say they cheated and never had his DNA until arrest. Yeah, I don't think they had his DNA until no earlier than like right after Christmas. Because who would be in the office processing somebody's DNA on Christmas Eve or 2 days before Christmas? Those facilities are not even open that close to Christmas in the United States. People shut down the week of Christmas and Thanksgiving in the United States, and they leave the office. I mean, that's not a 24-hour business, a DNA lab. That's not a 24-hour business. So I feel like they probably couldn't even get his, even if they had a sample to test, I don't think they would have been able to reach anybody the week just before Christmas. And even if they turned it in, they wouldn't have gotten it back, that fast. I just don't. As a matter of fact, let me make a note to check the hours for that Texas lab. See if they were even open the week before Christmas. Let me write that down. Because if they weren't open, that's another lie we caught them in, That's another big lie. If the Texas lab wasn't even open the week before Christmas, then we know that nobody was sending anything in there. All right. Shout out to Kelly Barrison. I think I'm saying your name right. Thank you so much for joining. Good to see you. I don't know about that one. If the lab wasn't even open the week of Christmas, we know that whatever sample they got, once he got home, he didn't get home until the 14th or 15th of December. So if that lab, they can't lie about whether they were open or closed during the week before Christmas. So if they weren't even open the week before Christmas, we know they didn't test anything and send it back in time for them to have some kind of evidence. We know that's not true. All right, hold on just 1 second. I'm trying to give Kelly a shout out. Okay. No, I'm gonna check on that. I don't believe it, and so that's why it's so hard to get the facts straight in the case, because so many things have to line up, and we've caught them in too many lies to trust the reports. We've caught them in too many lies. So I don't trust that either. I'm gonna look and see for myself. All right, just a few more words on this article and then we'll move on. Okay, the students, what do you think about this? Somebody is lying on this one. Either he was charming and bubbly the days after the crimes, or he was standoffish and changed his demeanor, because the students are saying something different from the doctor's office and the people he lived around in that apartment complex, Steptoe. It's two different descriptions of him. That's a problem. That's a problem. All right. Now, another thing I want to talk about is Dylan's account of seeing Bryan Kohberger or whoever, because she's basically IDing him by saying his eyebrows were thick and, you know, the way she described him. I want to talk about the fact that Dylan did not report any blood on the perpetrator. I want to know what you think about that. And while you post comments, I'm going to change the stream. I'm going to change the screen. I want to know what you think the implications of that are. It's something that I really don't understand. How can you say that, you know, you saw the perpetrator, you saw he was close enough to you for you to see his eyebrows, but you didn't see any blood on his face, you didn't see any blood on his hands. You watched him walk to the sliding glass door, but you didn't see any blood on his clothes. That's a problem for me. Okay, that's a problem for me. I'm just be honest with you. That's really a problem for me. What do you think about that? Hold on, I got it going here. I don't know, it's buffering a little bit, but it's pretty much doing good today. I can't lie. It's doing good today. All right. I feel like the reason why she did not say that there was blood, she can't say that she saw blood, because then people are say she needs to be arrested because she didn't call police. You know, for all we know, the last two victims, whoever were killed last, their lives could have been saved. You know, you can't say that this guy, you can't say that you can't say that he had blood on him. Why? Because if you say that, people are really gonna say, well, why didn't you call police? So she messed up. They messed up by putting that in the PCA. That's one of the things I'm talking about. When people say, you know, the Dylan statement is no good. This is a lot of reasons why people say that, because it's so many conflicting things. You know, it's already a general consensus that she should have called the police if she saw anybody. But the fact that she didn't see any blood on this guy is supposed to save her from, how do you say it? That's supposed to save her from, you know, being prosecuted for, I think, is it illegal not to call the police if you think somebody's in danger? I don't think you can prosecute somebody for that, but I mean, that's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me. All right, hold on. Let me look. I'm gonna have to look at my comments. I don't know. Let me go in the live chat on my phone so I can keep up. There's something wrong with that. Something really, really wrong. And so there's no way. And if the person left out the sliding glass door, we should have blood on the sliding glass door. That's just my opinion. And there isn't any. I believe that the perpetrators left, like I said, from the balcony, because there's nothing on right after this happened, when all the news crew was there and stuff. Nobody, absolutely nobody, absolutely nobody reported seeing blood on either door. And we saw the tape. We saw the crime scene tape. So that's just not what it is. Now, let me share. I don't believe that it was on this. I don't believe that it was, I believe they left from the balcony. I believe that the red stuff that I saw on, like the dry rotted wood on the balcony, I believe that was blood. I do. And I believe they left out of the back of the house and everything they needed to everything they needed to how do you say it? Davino, it seems like he's working and trying to be a host at the same time. And I my heart goes out to you, Davino, but we can hear you talking in the background. All right. We love you though. Hi, Annie Ruler, when you say that face being unrecognizable is shouting out to me as a female rage or a disgruntled ex-boyfriend. All right. Well, I'm not. I think that was a question for Annie. All right. Shout out to Sally Shepardson. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Let's see. Who was Tank Top Boy at the grub truck? That's a good question. Tank top in cold weather at that. All right. So I'm going to give you another poll, and this is about DM's statement about the person, not no blood. How many people think Dylan should have been arrested? Because she gave a statement, and also who else gave a statement? DM gave a statement. Bethany gave a statement according to the PCA. And so I just would like to know why she didn't get where she was. I would like to know. I don't know. I don't know about that. But to give a statement and it's not true, and 4 people are deceased in the house where you live, to me that's you giving conflicting information. I don't know. All right, Alice, there's blooming and getting a wee bit chilly. Scotland looks great this time of year. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I just have a bunch of leaves this time of year. Here in Georgia, it's really leaf city. It's leaves everywhere. I mean, if you can control the leaves, it's pleasant this time of year. But I bet it's absolutely beautiful there. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. I'm listening. Take care of some errands. All right. We hear you, Les. Much love to you. All right. Angela, I believe this all happened at 3, like they said first, and Dylan either didn't see nothing or she is involved somehow. I wish I could highlight some of these comments because I feel the same way. I feel like it jumped off anywhere between when Kaylee stopped using her telephone, anywhere between that and when Kaylee stopped using her phone and about 3:30, I believe everything was already done by 3:30, 3:45. Okay. I think they're pushing this 4 o'clock narrative for whatever reason, but if I had to bet the farm, all of this is over with before before 4 o'clock. I agree with you, Angela. I believe it was all over by 4 o'clock. And I believe that shout out to Terry Sleuth. I see you come in. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. I believe it was all over with by 3:30, 3:40 at the latest. I don't know why, but we have so much evidence of activity and things happening before 4 o'clock. I think by 4 o'clock, everything was done. Those kids were already deceased. And another thing I have to agree with is that All right, we got Davino back.
Hey. I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
Yeah, but we can hear you talking. I don't know. It just seems like you're real busy today, Davino.
I'm working and I'm trying to converse back and forth.
Yep, that's what Les said. We know you're at the presidential suite consulting
No,
with
I'm
Joe
not.
Biden,
No, I'm actually no.
but you
No,
don't
I'm
have
not.
to tell Joe that we're having a live right now.
No, it's so good.
I know.
No, it's just been a slow day today. Just trying to help out some people and all that, but it happens. I mean, it's to be expected.
Yeah, we understand. Okay.
But as far as going back to everything, and I mean, with D Wood, sorry, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I don't. If she claims that she could have recognized him from his description, this perpetrator, I don't know how there could not have been no blood on that person. That's impossible. And yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because we all know that there wasn't one perpetrator. It's pretty obvious. There was an interview with Mr. G and the wife, and he even said like the wounds didn't even match any other unalives what they had. It wasn't even close. So you pretty much know right there that it was multiple weapons.
Right. I think to be able to pull it off to where they didn't really leave any evidence or whatever, it had to be more than one person. The only way it wasn't more than one person is if they had more time, like at least 40 minutes. It spent time in the house. That's the only way.
And not only that, but I mean, like, yeah, if they're in that house and there's no blood coming out of that house, then guess what? Like I said this before, and you agree with me, this took place inside the house.
Right.
Because it just doesn't make sense, because there's no way they could have left any way coming down wherever. There would have been blood everywhere outside. You would have had, you could not miss that. It would have been everywhere.
I believe they left. That's another reason I believe they left from the balcony.
Yeah.
I just believe they left from the balcony.
Unless they jumped off. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk about something controversial. I don't mean to ruffle your feathers, all y'all that love Bryan Kohberger. This is just.
I'm just going to bounce back and forth. So excuse you 1 second. I'll be back.
All right, you can just mute. Now
I will do that.
Yeah, just mute. Okay, so this is something that is stuck with me and I can't get past it. And I want to know what y'all think. All right, this is purely hypothetical. I have no evidence whatsoever for or against it, but I did some research on BTK, and one thing that his daughter said was his first crime. He unalived 4 people and left the 2 so that they can come and discover the 4 that were deceased. And that just blew me away, because to me, that's one motive out of none that makes sense for this case, why they picked King Road. If they did not know anybody in that house, or they weren't affiliated with anybody in that house, and a lot of people are saying the house was targeted. If the person, and it could have been Bryan, or it could have been anybody, that was emulating BTK. It could have been anybody. It could be a serial killer out there we don't know about, and this was his first crime, and he decided, if he was going to emulate BTK, his first crime, it had to be 6 people so he could take 4 and leave 2. What do y'all think about that one? Because I can't get past that. That just blew me away. That would be a reason why DM and BF are still here. It was already predetermined that 4 would go and 2 would live to be left with the chaos and the trauma. You see what I'm saying? That is a motive. That is a strong motive. Anybody would decide to emulate BTK. It could be somebody out there that is a BTK copycat. And if they study him and his daughter, they know that his first crime, whether he did it intentionally or not, he unalived 4 people and left 2. So in order to copy BTK, whoever did it, they had to pick somewhere where it was 6 people. They had to. And so in that area there, a college town, that's the best place to look for, a place where 6 people are living in one house. unless it's a family, you know, college campus. That's why Ted Bundy and Ed Kemper, or whatever his name is, they would go to college campus because they know it was a lot of girls in one house, you know. What
So you think this might be? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Davino's back on the stage, guys. All right.
Come on, Davino, come on.
Okay, but basically, yeah, I mean, it's possible that this could have been just a random possible killing. I mean, for what you're saying with the BTK, like you said, 6 people in the house, 4 on alive, 2 that actually supposedly discovered them, if that's really the truth. But yeah, that does kind of tie into a copycat killer.
Yeah, his daughter said it. His daughter.
Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah.
She said my dad left the 2. She said it. Let me see. It was a panel. It's the video where BTK's daughter is on a panel with like 6 people. It's the guy, the retired investigator, whatever. She said he left the 2 intentionally to come and find the 4 deceased, 2, the mother, the father, and 2 of the kids, I think. And so I mean, that just blew my mind, because I mean, if the copycat, if there's a BTK copycat, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Brian, it could be Brian, because he has a lot of other coincidences with BTK, which I'll get into next. But it could have been anybody that's a copycat killer for BTK. They had to, if they were copying him to the T, they had to pick a house with 6 people.
Is there a big baby bear in here? Do you have a bear? It's a bear.
They had to. All right. And so I don't know. That stuck with me. I'm telling you, that stuck with me. Now, another thing is BTK, he stood silent. He stood silent for his remember when it was time for the plea, even though he eventually confessed when he saw the evidence they had against him, he confessed. But initially he stood silent. And another thing is his first crime was in November. That's another thing that could be a copycat BTK killer. Did anybody? It could have been anybody that was copying BTK that said, "Well, it's got to be in November, and it's got to be 6 people in the house." That could have been the MO for anybody copying BTK. Do you see what I'm saying? It could have been anybody. And so let me see if I got anybody in the comments speaking on this. Not yet. Okay, I'm looking for comments on this.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like they had a conversation. I mean, as far as, you know, that this thing was definitely premeditated. I mean, I didn't think about that, but I mean, like his daughter said, 6 people, 4 unalive, 2 found him. Same thing what happened with his first killing. Yeah. But then here's my question: if this was somehow some kind of copycat killing, why hasn't this been done again? And it's been over a year.
Well, I hate to say it, but if that's the case, or maybe it did happen again somewhere else. That's
true. We just don't know what state it is, but wow, that would be kind of weird if that's really what did transpire.
Okay, but then we would have to look back at Brian, because some people say, well, Brian is in custody, and we haven't had that again in the area, you know, because I think BTK, most of his victims were right there around where, I don't think he traveled to other places. I'm not sure.
He didn't. It was pretty much right there in the vicinity.
Right. It was right.
But he was under the radar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's not looking good. And also, he was 28. She said, you know, that's another thing. He was 28 when he committed his first crimes. And who else is 28 in November 2022?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to talk about these things. I don't have any evidence that Bryan Kohberger was emulating BTK. All I'm saying is there's a lot of similarities here. His birthday was in November. I think it was November the 20th, if I'm not mistaken. So he wasn't officially 28 yet, but that was his birthday month. So if by some wild chance he was emulating BTK, which he studied, he would have wanted to do it in his 28th birthday month. He could have planned this a year earlier and came out to Washington, with this plan from the beginning. Or some people in my family suggested that maybe the way they were, treating him real bad at WSU, maybe that's what triggered him. But he wouldn't have had a lot of time to plan it. That's my problem. He wouldn't have had a lot of time to plan it. I don't know. Who knows? All right. I don't know. It's a lot of similarities between the two. There was another one. I'm trying to think, where did I put my notes? All right. I'm not seeing a lot of comments on BTK, so we may have to just keep moving forward. All right, here it is. Annie Ruler house was targeted, cutting in the profits of the MPD protected dealers, in my opinion. Yeah, well, yeah, could be. Everybody's saying drug connection. But what if it was just a copycat BTK killer that had nothing to do with drugs? That house had been here. It had been a drug house for a while. The neighbor said the house was always crunk like that. So, I mean, why all of a sudden this date, unless somebody did steal something from the dealers? All right, shout out to She-Beast. All right, fellow Georgian, you're in the South Georgia, Valdosta, Savannah area. Yeah, it's beautiful, but I'm telling you, these leaves are working me, She-Beast. I mean, working us. You have to have a blower, a rake, and patience with the leaves. All right, shout out to She-Beast. Now, if there's a copycat killer out there, maybe the person's birthday is in November, or maybe there's something about November that we need to look at, because this happened on a very busy night for football and everything. This happened at a very busy time in Moscow. And so whoever did this was determined to do it in November, and they picked a very active month. I mean, I'm surprised, because even though they say it's pretty dead on Sundays around the campus and that area, okay, Sally Shepherdson said this was not a copycat killing. Why do you say that? Take the stage.
Woof.
Take the stage. Take the stage. All right, I'll put the link out for you. If you want to say why you believe that it's not a copycat killing, I would love to hear it, because this 6 people in a house leave 2 is sticking in my brain, and I would love to hear somebody else's perspective. All right, and I agree. I believe they were gone by 3:30, but how many? I don't know. I don't know. Now, hold on a second. Oh, here's a good point right here. We saw cuts, bruises, bumps, and abrasions on Sai Dubai, Ina Harsh, Jack DeCoeur, and Hayden. Okay, it's funny you say that, Terry, because I was looking at a show on Netflix. What's the name of that one? The Killer. And he was saying that most of the time when there's a murder and there was no sexual assault, it's usually the husband or the boyfriend. Did y'all see that movie, The Killer, on Netflix? Let me put that in the chat. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. He was saying that usually, even though people don't really realize it, most of the time when there is a murder of a female and there was no sexual assault, usually it was the boyfriend or the husband. I don't know if there are any statistics about that, but that was very interesting to me. So what do you all think about that? What do you think about that? And then what do you think about the cuts and bumps and on these people? I mean, that's a very valid point to make. Very valid point to make. All right. And I'm still waiting for Sally to come and give her take on the copycat killings also. Les said, I think that's just coincidence. Yep, that's what I said, that some of these things could be coincidence. Collectively, I don't know. I don't know. All right. Yep. BK saved someone's life when he was a security guard. Okay. What do y'all think about that? Do you think that's enough to say that he would not go on and, take anybody else's life? What do you think about that? I think I put another poll here. All right. Here you go. How many people believe that Jack D is a good suspect? I think some people said that he had cuts. I mean, that his face looked swollen. Jack D. What you think about that? Huh? Oh, Middle Georgia. Okay. Yeah, that's I think anywhere in Georgia we're being attacked by leaves right now. Sheebies. I'm telling you, it's a little rough, but it is beautiful. The countrysides are absolutely stunning this time of year. Okay, let's talk about the posts that were made earlier. I think that this is a good place to bring that up. Do you think that his post saying that his family, he was depressed, and he made a lot of posts when he was younger. I mean, which of these is his personality? Is it the one that sounds depressed, maybe even a little deranged? As a teenager or a young man, I'm not sure how old he was when he posted these things. Or is it the superhero that saved someone's life? Is it the astute PhD TA student who, in my opinion, was by the book, and they probably didn't like that, the students, that he was making them do their work? Which of these is the Bryan Kohberger? Because I'm drawing multiple personalities from him, and as I said earlier, they're giving different accounts of his demeanor. The students are saying something totally different than the doctors and the people who lived at the apartment complex. It's totally different. Let's look at the poll. All right, 86% believe that Jack D is still a good suspect. Okay, I mean, his demeanor at the memorial was a little alarming to me. I just expected him to, maybe break down or be very just outside of himself with all these people talking about Kaylee and the type of person she was. I mean, I expected Jack to be broken down and could barely talk or at least shed a tear or whatever, but his demeanor was totally different. I mean, really, really different. I mean, I'm not the only one who has said that either. All right. All right. Got Davino back. So we're saying that Jack D is still a suspect, should still be a suspect. His demeanor at the memorial is my main reason for, I was kind of surprised. I thought that he would really be, dating somebody for 5 years. I thought he would have been grieving a little,
Yeah, agree. 100%.
To the memorial and stand up and talk to all these people. That's hard, but he seemed to be, he was comforting the mother.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, if you remember, he didn't even show up at the courthouse.
Yeah, that's what they
You would
said.
think that he was such a great family friend as the parents, how they described him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't show up for more support. I mean, come on. I mean, that's got to say something right there. If you loved her so much and I mean, I know she was ex, but they were good friends. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that one bit. That's strange.
Well, first of all, he didn't answer her calls that night.
Yeah.
And he didn't escort them home. Things could have been very, very different.
I was going to say that too. And then he winds up with Murphy. Wow, what a coincidence, huh?
Yeah, what a coincidence.
He doesn't answer the calls, and then he winds up with Murphy. I mean, it just doesn't add up.
Okay, well, what could he possibly know? I mean, I think
he was cleared way too fast.
Yeah,
and I believe that he definitely knew something was going to take place. That's what I think, and that's probably why he didn't answer his phone.
He didn't say Jack D specifically, but he was saying that people were being cleared way too fast.
Yeah,
I guess he gave his DNA, right? Does anybody know when they had the mobile? Oh, we got it.
I don't know if he did. I'm not sure.
Sally coming on stage. Sally Shepherdson. I think she got some questions for you, Davino.
Oh, mamma mia, Sutanori. Here we go. This ought to be just beautiful.
Okay, you think not copycat?
But
copycat.
This is
welcome.
This, so.
Good to see you. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
ciao, ciao. Buone vacanze. Ciao, ciao.
We can hear you.
Okay. The reason why I don't think it was a BTK, look-alike crime was because it wasn't set in a neighborhood. It wasn't set in a known neighborhood of the suspect. So BTK always worked in his neighborhood or close to it, and it really couldn't be considered Brian Kohlberger's neighborhood. In my opinion, you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. I'll let you go. You want to go first, Davina, on that?
I heard something about a neighborhood. I didn't catch the whole thing.
Yeah, she was saying we were kind of she was saying that BTK always chose his victims right there in his neighborhood.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did. Okay. That's true.
Okay, that's true. But here's my point to that. First of all, Moscow is not that far away from Pullman. I mean, for me to drive 15 minutes, I'm still in my city. But for him to drive for 15 minutes, he would have been in Moscow, from his house. I think it was 10 or 15 minute drive. So technically, that still was kind of in the vicinity of where he lived. And second of all, I think maybe he didn't want to do his dirt right there at WSU because he was going to try to keep his job at, in his spot at WSU. I don't know, but that is a valid point. That's something that I looked at. BTK always chose somebody right there in his community. But can we say that Moscow and Pullman are so close together? What do you say to that?
It's about 15 minutes apart. So.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think he did it because he would have too much to lose if he got caught by the police, even though he was extremely smart.
I just don't think one person did this. I think this was a conspiracy, and I think this was they were targeted. So I think. So.
Okay. Well, that's another good point that he had a lot going for himself. But do y'all remember the Colonel in Canada? Shout out to Canada, by the way. I hadn't given y'all a shout out in a while. Shout out to Canada. They had Colonel Williams up there. He was flying the Queen around the world. And he was going in people's houses, stealing underwear, tormenting the people that live in the house, and then he took it to rape and eventually murdered, and then he tried to blame it on his neighbor. Do you remember that case, Sally? Colonel Williams in Canada.
Yeah, I know.
I know, right? It was Underwear Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was Underwear Man.
Underwear Man. Dun, dun, dun!
Okay,
Underwear Man. That's what he should have been called, Underwear Man.
I don't think he would have did it for that reason. I know if I would have spent that, I've almost got a master's degree, and I've been disabled all my life, and I've never worked, and I would have never wasted, I would have never done something that stupid with only 4 or 5 months away from.
I can't believe this is just crazy.
This doesn't make any sense.
No.
Right. Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. But we do have prominent people. We do have prominent people who have done stuff, and then turn around and be shot. Look at OJ. He had a lot going for him, and that didn't stop him from. But I guess that's kind of a totally different motive. This case has a totally different feel to me. It has a feel of either somebody with a mass murder, a serial killer mindset, or the drug motive, organized crime. These are the two vibes that I get from this, or even personal, like we were saying with Jack D. Well, how do you feel about Jack D being a suspect, Sally?
I think it's the frat boys. I even think the key witness might be. I think the key witness in the PCA might have killed one of the girls upstairs.
Right. Okay, the frat boys.
And it's possible the frat boys, because they could just walk the cross, but I don't know. It's just doesn't make sense. All that blood, how could you get away with that? It's impossible. I'm still wondering if this was an inside job. I really am. I'm serious, because there's no from the exterior, from the interior with any blood, which doesn't add up. I mean, there'd be blood everywhere. When we had this conversation before, I mean, it just doesn't add up, and that's why I'm still leaning towards the inside. I really am.
Yeah, well,
never underestimate women. Women can be very strong and powerful, and in the heat of the moment, they can do some serious damage.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. I just lost my train of thought. This is what
in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, that's what it was. Listen,
that's a song by Asia. Okay. Yeah.
Latent shoe print in front of Dylan's bedroom door. That's another problem for me.
I'm not buying that. Yeah, I'm not buying that.
Because you have to have somebody, wiped it up, and for them to have used Liminal, they used amino black. I'm sorry.
One shoe print by the entire door. Come on. You know what I mean? Walking through that house like that. Are you kidding me?
That's not good for Dylan.
It's not. That makes no sense. There'll be footprints everywhere.
I really don't. I don't. I really don't. I don't get it.
When you take a step, there's not just one footprint. There'll be multiple footprints all over the place.
Right. Well, evidently there had to be some around the house.
Were they hopping on one foot or something? I don't know. Were they maybe doing the bunny hop on one foot? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, if they had one latent shoe print, then there had to be others. But the question is, who wiped that up?
Nancy Grace. That's who wiped it up.
Well, she said that this evidence is not significant. All right, we got Les Vasquez coming to the stage. She gonna get you, Davino. You must have said something.
I'm not. Hey,
all right. Our regular guest speaker, Les Vasquez. All right,
hi,
let's
Sally.
Go.
Hi, Davino. Hi, Miss Joy.
Ciao, Les. How are you?
And props to Sally for coming on here.
Right.
Yeah, taking that step. I just
That's
wanted
right.
to point out, it was just something I put in the comments that never hit me before today, but it probably did you guys. I was just going to say, speaking of Jack D, we found out that he was at the Corner Club that night, and his
Right.
roommate is who? Adam. So
Right.
whatever Maddie told Adam,
She told
I'm
him.
sure he told JD. Yeah, Jack
Right.
D. I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. I don't like it.
That's a
I
great
don't.
point.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
great
like it.
point.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
And then maybe he didn't answer the phone because he was at the house.
That's a
Could have
possibility. That's what I was thinking too, because you live right across from the house. Remember?
Maybe he couldn't answer the phone because he was already there or on his way in there.
Or he was already, helping out.
Yeah.
Because he lived right across, right from that house. And his apartment was right there. He lived right in those apartment, whatever you call them. I call them Lego house, whatever you want to call them. But they were right there. Yeah, he could just take it a couple steps, bada bing, and he would be over on the property.
Yeah, bada bing.
You're getting good with the vocabulary, Les. Keep it up.
Hey, I speak Portuguese. Don't mess with me.
Okay.
All right,
Firefly
nice.
made a great point. Firefly said
Miss
we don't know
Piaz.
more than
Firefly
footprints they use. Just one in front of Dylan's to corroborate her alleged story. That's a great point. But back to JD. Listen, one thing about it, he didn't.
Got those Garfield bug eyes, number one. Yeah.
It seemed like I got a weird vibe from him at the memorial. That's what
I got a weird vibe from him from the entire beginning.
I don't know about all of this other evidence and stuff, but I know at the memorial. And do you notice that Mr. G doesn't say anything else about him?
Nope.
No. He gave him the same guy at the memorial, and he doesn't say anything else about he doesn't say anything else about Jack in public.
Which is odd because supposedly Jack is just like one of their own. And it's just like Davino said, Jack knew when everybody else did at 9 a.m. that something terrible happened, and he did not call Kaylee's parents. Supposedly he was part of their family.
Right. Oh yeah. And
because they praised him a lot. And then
so they were saying, they were gonna get married eventually.
I doubt it.
It almost seems like to me that he would be the type that if I can't have her, then nobody can have her.
You think so?
Well, he wasn't going to find any better, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
that's another thing I'm leaning towards that direction as well.
Okay, here's a comment leaning towards what y'all are saying. Karma, I'm not gonna try your last name. Sivananda. Thinking like you, dear, he had the most to lose. Kaylee was leaving for good.
Yep.
And then she had just gotten a truck. She was going. I heard a rumor she was going to take a trip to Europe.
Yep.
Now, that don't make any sense, right there. If you're going to start a job, and then this is college we're talking about. Most people they don't have much money.
She wasn't going
to. You're going to go buy a Range Rover and take a trip to Europe, and then go to Texas, and then some kind of IT. I mean, I never heard of that in my life.
No, she did. She was going to take a month off backpacking in Europe, and then apparently what she told her would-be roommate in Texas that she wouldn't be there for a little while. So that was definitely that was her plan. And okay, y'all, let's be serious. I'm not trying to be mean, but look at Jack D. Were we surprised at what he looked like after we saw what Kaylee looked like?
Well, I actually kind of was a little bit.
Yeah, me too. And I'm not
saying I was like
ugly.
Garfield the cat. Yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
but
ugly.
You can't go by that. It's what's on the inside of the person.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. But on a physical attribute,
right. You're right.
It was kind of shocking.
I'm married and I'm not beautiful. I'm just saying that he wasn't going to get anybody better than Kaylee. And he might have just felt like,
Yep.
That's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
and he was a lot older than her. How is he in a frat? Somebody needs to school me on that because I don't understand.
I think they said something about that where I don't think he was even a student. Was he even a student there?
I would imagine not if
Yes,
he
he
was
was.
4
He's a
years older than
mechanical
her.
engineering student.
He was.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
that. Okay.
So it
I
was
thought he was.
Brad.
I thought he was a real conservative. You know, at first that's what I picked up. You know, he definitely doesn't look like a player, so to speak. But then after I looked at more pictures of him, I could see more, you know, a little bit more personality, because at first it's like all his pictures, he seemed very conservative. But I don't know if, you know, if they were together for 5 years, I don't know, maybe he left her. Maybe she was pregnant. Maybe they, you know, maybe they, I don't know. Sally, you still with us? Did you have something to say on this?
I can't hear Sally.
No, I can't. She's not muted out. I don't know, but I just want to give her a chance to speak. But I felt like, you know, I didn't know he was you know, I thought he was real conservative. You know, in my opinion, I thought he was a very conservative guy, but everybody's, I don't know. People have a different opinion of him, I guess. But
I don't know.
The family stopped talking about him.
It is interesting, though, isn't it? They talked about him in the beginning, and now you don't even hear about him. He just became a ghost.
Yeah, and that's not in character for them, because they talk about everybody. I mean, they talk about everybody. They start talking about him, and they didn't say a peep. They didn't say a peep about the daughter on TikTok. They don't talk about either one of them.
I don't know.
They don't talk about either one of them. All right, hold on. Let me see.
Those parents are, like I said, those parents are very weird to me as well.
Do you think that do y'all think that the prosecution is going to actually turn over the DNA evidence by December the 1st? Do you believe it? Let me make a poll on that.
No.
Let me make a poll on that.
I just gave you my answer to the poll.
Right. Yeah, you did. Hold on, let me put the poll in, and I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Time to take a poll.
After you take the poll, I was kicked out. I had to come back in. I wanted to say something about the Gonzalez parents.
Yeah, they're strange.
After we get the results of the poll or whatever,
They are
give your opinion.
positive 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about some? To me that they just come across as a very I don't know, kind of like hiding in the shadows, in my opinion. But
did we know? Oh, go ahead, Miss Joy.
Okay, this is what I'm saying about what makes me upset about this DNA deadline. The judge said that if the prosecution doesn't turn over the DNA evidence by December the 1st, then we could, you know, the case will possibly be more delayed or whatever. So he's already accepting the fact that if they don't turn it in, that's going to be fine. They're not going to be penalized. It's just going to be another delay. To me, that's just, you know, I don't understand that. Help me understand.
Well, it's like I talked to you when I sent you that email about Barry Morphew and Susan Morphew and how they were putting him on trial for her murder, and because the prosecution kept delaying giving the discovery to the defense, I think it was 9 times. So the judge got mad and he sanctioned the prosecutor, and what he did was knock off 14 of their witnesses. Therefore, the prosecutor had to drop the charges because they couldn't do it without those witnesses. That's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to be sanctioned for not obeying.
Nobody's gonna be sanctioned. I haven't seen it. I don't expect it. I mean,
no, I'm just saying a judge will enforce a penalty. He should, of some kind.
Supposed to. I think you're supposed to have done it by now. Not even waiting on December the 1st. He should have imposed the penalty by now. You know?
For sure.
And he you know, that's crazy. I don't think he's going to. I think he's already got his orders they've already said this is our suspect. Let me break this down to you. Chief Fry said when Chief Fry when they arrested Bryan Kohberger, they had Chief Fry on TV, and the lady asked him to his face. She said, "Are you 100% sure this is the suspect?" He said, "Yes." And then he said, "We're not looking." She said, "Are y'all looking for anybody else?" He said, "We're not looking for anybody else. This is our guy. I'm 100% sure." He looked her dead in her face and said that. So he can't, you can't come back from that to start saying you investigating other people. But then Bill Thompson came in this recent thing they just showed, talking about how they investigated multiple people. Did you see that part?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about how you gonna say that when Chief Fry said at December 30th, January 1st, this is it, this is our guy, we're not investigating anybody else.
That's garbage.
So that, not just corruption, to save face, they can't, two things can't happen. The prosecution can't start wavering, trying to bring in other suspects, or it's over for them. And Bryan Kohberger can't start discussing a plea deal, or it's over for him. Everybody's got to stick to their guns on this, or it's going to fall apart on either side. Now, that's just my take.
Well, I'm about to, I got to go finish my errands, but real quick before I go, I want to say something about the Gonzalez parents.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So, no, that's fine. So, just think about when you're grieving someone and you have to go through the processes of grief, like the stages. And I know, as somebody who's lost their kid, and not by anything this horrible,
Right.
but the first year of, you can't even really process those emotions. And I can't imagine having to do it in public. So I'm going to give them a little pass.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, no, it's not written in stone, but I think that Jack D knows a lot more about this case than a lot of people. I think just because of his relationship with Kaylee for so long, if she was involved in something in that house, he would have known about it, and he just was absent in everything. I don't even remember seeing him in any of the videos at the house when the police came. Do you? Was he there?
No. And
He
I'm
was.
not saying I'm giving them a pass on Jake, on Jack. I'm saying for the way they come out and say wacky things, and off the hinge kind of comments is
Right.
where we have to give them a break. But I think they know something about Jack Dean. That's why they've never mentioned him again.
Something, because they don't talk about him. Hold
Yeah,
on, I'm trying
that's
to
weird.
Yeah.
Just
All
weird.
right. Now I want to go back to this latent footprint. Okay. This is one of my theories. I feel like that Dylan cleaned that up, tried to clean it up.
Yep.
And the reason I believe she tried to clean it up is because it was right there in front of her door, and it's only certain explanations for that. Okay, these people in your house, 4 people are deceased, and the footprint is in front of your bedroom door. So we already know they had to pass by your door several times to get this done, no matter how many people were in the house. And so we know that after it was done, they passed by your door.
Right.
They passed by your door. So if you were at home, let me retract that. Either they passed by your door, or there was blood in that foyer and you stepped in it, because they said it was Van's, right? Van's footprint, the Van shoe.
Yeah.
So maybe she came out of her room and she stepped in the blood.
Yeah.
And then she cleaned it up because it was right there in front of her door.
That's probably right. I bet you're right.
Because girls and guys both wear Vans. It could have been a perpetrator stepped in it, or it could be her print. But the
I
problem
got some
is,
pink bands.
yeah, but look, the direction of the print, if it was pointed towards the stairs, you know, that's not her coming out of her room. Whoever that was in motion going back and forth between the rooms.
Right. And they didn't tell us how it was pointed or, what direction it was. That's, yeah.
You know, I would love to know that, because I believe Dylan cleaned it up. I don't know why, but I just believe she cleaned it up. For
Well, I
some
do too.
reason.
So I do
Yeah.
too. I think everybody kind of has come to that consensus with her. I mean, she's already proven herself to be a liar, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
I mean, why,
Now,
because she's trying to hide something.
okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that she's just a big liar, or do you think the stuff she's been telling us is because the police are telling her to say that?
I mean, I could see how she definitely was threatened or coerced into saying those things, but just that 8 hours, and I just can't get it, and so she has something to hide,
Yeah.
regardless. And I know
Yeah.
that some people don't think they were in the house, and maybe they weren't, but it seemed like it was common knowledge that something was going to happen that night.
Right? And I
Yeah.
feel like somebody had to let them in. If the
Mhm.
doors were locked, somebody had to let them in. Because even if they're blaming it on Brian Koberger, somebody had to let them in, because everybody was home at first.
Right.
And then it happened. If it was Brian, now if it was somebody else, it could have happened even earlier than the time they say he started his trek. But it could have been earlier than that. But most of the people in here, the things that I've been reading, it seems like everybody agrees, on that point. I don't think that I ever changed my mind from that aspect of it. But it could have been any time before. I just believe 4 o'clock, everything was done and over with by then. At
I
least the murder part of it.
So we know that Xana was on the phone with her dad around midnight and ordered pizza. We know the pizza, well, we don't know that's the pizza boxes that were left behind, if that was from that night or not. But I was going to say, anybody, let's say it was a narcotic type situation. People could
Right,
have come in between 12:30 and 1:30, and they could have let them in the house not knowing what was going to go down.
right.
So
Oh, that's a
that's
good
another
point.
thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, because no forced entry, that
Right.
doesn't look good for Dylan and Bethany either.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that looks bad. You had a bloody footprint in front of your bedroom door. There was no forced entry, no forced exit from what we can see. And so, I mean, that doesn't look good for Dylan or Bethany. And then to
Mm-mm.
say they were talking to each other on the phone, I think the
Right.
prosecution really made a mistake putting that out there. I do. If that's who put it out there, because I think that they said that was a rumor from the grand jury, and that it just nobody's denying it.
Right. Right. And Mr.
Nobody's
G's the only
denying it.
one. Mr. G is the only one who's saying he.
Yeah, he's the only one. He's the only one. Well, no, I don't know. I think maybe some other people too were saying it, because they were reporting it on the news. Nancy Grace even reported it, that they were claiming the girls were texting each other. But if the friends were involved, I think that would explain why Dylan and Bethany were texting each other, if they were, because they're gonna have to expose those phone records sooner or later. They're gonna have to. Shout out to American Princess. They're gonna happy holidays. They're gonna have to expose those phone records sooner or later, and I think that's why this case is being dragged out so much, because there's so much they don't want us to see, or they need to change it. Like going back in the house. Who does that? Months after the crime, you just now taking 3D photo scanning or whatever it is they were doing. That's crazy. I see you, Les. Thank you so much for coming up and doing a live with us. Everybody's busy. It's the middle of the day. I understand, but thank you so much for everybody that came through. Everybody that I'm selling stickers. If I ain't selling any other type of merchandise, I'm selling stickers. All right. Get your Hard Truth sticker and put it on the refrigerator. That's right. Now let's see. We talked about the latent print. There's something missing here out of these screenshots. Let me go back and look. All right. I want to go to this screen because I want to ask you a couple of questions about it. All right. Let me put it to where you can see it. Let's try this. No. Hold on. I think I'm back. All right. Can y'all hear me now? All right. Y'all let me know if you can hear me. I can see you, but I don't know. Okay, where are we? Are we done here or what's going on, folks? Somebody let me know. All right. Not sure why. Well, It says my mic is working. I'm not sure what happened. Let me try this. Oh, you can hear me now. Firefly.
Hello, is anyone there? Hello?
Okay, I can hear you now, Davino.
All right.
I got kicked out of the whole shebang. I had to.
I know. I saw it. I'm like, I know she didn't desert me, but
no, of course not.
It's
No,
all good. When the night closes in, but I thought so. You know.
Okay, we still have some kind of. I still see Sally up here. Let's see.
I saw her video before she popped on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Sally, if you're on here, you can speak. Well, let's just start wrapping things up. I'm going to tell you this. I believe that the prosecution made a lot of mistakes. I think they rushed to try to arrest this guy and say that they had a suspect. And for all we know, somebody gave his name, they jumped on him and decided this has got to be the guy, or we can at least put it off that this is the guy. And here we are. And I just feel like that's what happened. I feel like, they rushed to judgment. Whether he did it or not, the way they arrested him was wrong. I mean, I don't think it was necessary to go and tear up his parents' house. It'd be different if he lived alone now. FBI will come and get you, But to just go in there and somebody's house, parents' house, and break windows and glass and stuff like that, arrest him, I just don't think that was necessary.
I have a question on that. And I don't know if this was ever actually confirmed, but did he really come to the door, or was he in the kitchen with dish gloves on, or is that just hearsay?
They claim that he was in the kitchen with gloves on, putting his trash in different baggies, but that doesn't make sense to me.
It does not make sense, because that is the most craziest thing. Because they said that they were circling the house. I don't know if that's even true, but I mean, who does that? I mean, that's just bizarre. And they claim they I don't know.
Said they found marijuana in the house, a green leafy substance in Ziploc bags. Somebody was smoking weed.
Okay, so what? We could be medicinal. Then again, these LE people could have been on crack when they even tried to arrest him in the first place. I mean, who knows?
It sounds like it staked out and going in people's trash. And then there was a house that was purchased the day after the thing happened,
Yeah.
That's crazy. It makes it very political.
It does. It's almost like it's a hideout. And at the same time, here's what I think. And I agree with you 100%. I think that the president of the university was like, listen, we got to come up with someone really quick here, because I can't have this ongoing investigation at my university. It's freaking out the students, whatever the case may be, unless they all knew what was really going on. Who knows? I'm sure that a lot of them do. But I think that's what it was. They had to come up with something really quick this way to create that diversion and steer it away from the school.
Right. They rushed to arrest him.
They did.
So even if he did it, look at how Ann Taylor, just like a bulldog, is already trying to just get him off on technicalities.
Yeah.
And that would be a shame. That would be a shame that if he did have something to do with it, that he just walked because of how they arrested him.
I agree.
But it's possible. I wish I could see the body cam footage, American Princess, but you can see.
That's another thing. They don't even show him actually getting arrested at the parents' house.
Right.
I never actually seen that video, which is really bizarre.
What they do show is his father sweeping up the glass where they busted out some stuff.
Well, congratulations. Let's just pass out the freaking milk and cookies for that one, okay? But my point is,
That was bad.
No, it's just say milk and cookies. But what I'm saying is that.
No, I mean, breaking the people's house up.
Oh, it was. Exactly. That's my point. But, normally when any of these things take place, they always show the arrest being made on television, and that's the truth. They do. which I find to be very strange because this was major news. And you're talking at a quadruple massive homicide. And I mean, you would think that would have been on, on the news and everything else about that. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, WSU, speaking of politics and deals, WSU and Oregon State, they just got named as the bosses of the Pac-12, and everybody else is eliminated. So they're running that. I don't know.
The red carpet for that one too.
I don't know how much money that means for WSU, but it means a lot. And another thing is, this case, they have a good reason to delay this case for 3 to 5 years, Davino, because they had a natural gas break. I don't know if y'all went on my community page where I sometimes post local news for Idaho, Moscow, but they declared a natural disaster.
Hello, this is Dave with the National Recovery Group. I'm trying to get in touch with Yvonne.
Let me mute him. Okay, so just having that natural gas leak, that's enough reason right there to delay the trial, is what I'm saying. That is reason right there to delay the trial. So, I see what you're saying, American Princess. Well, it shouldn't be live right now. Some weird things are happening here. I just got kicked out of my own live, and now the other one's playing. How you like that? But anyway, the 8:45, you're gonna have to delete it and restart it. We're gonna be on schedule tomorrow night. Thanks for letting me know about that. Yeah, but it's money involved. It's money involved, and with that natural,
it's about money. Yeah.
If they had to declare a state of emergency for a gas leak, right there, the trial is gonna be pushed back. Even if they,
I think this entire case is a gas leak. Because what's going to eventually happen? These fumes are going to ignite, and there's going to be some big explosions.
Right.
So something is smelling very fishy with this gas leak.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still investigating my BTK copycat. Sally told me Moscow is too far away, but I don't know. I'm still on that because nobody. We're guessing at motives. We know that's a good motive to choose a house with 6 people in it. When if you wanted to take out any of the Idaho 4, you could have caught them somewhere else. They wanted to catch them all there in the house, because everybody was out doing their own thing in different places. If any one of the Idaho 4 was targeted, they could have caught them anywhere. They wanted them all right there in the same house.
This whole thing is I've never heard of any case like this in my life. And it's really ticking me off.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't understand, why they haven't, I don't know, they are dragging this thing on like a rag doll or something.
Well, let me make a comment about that too. That's good that you brought that up, because guess what? When somebody is charged with a murder, a multiple murder, or just one, and the person is saying not guilty, right?
Right.
And they drag the process out for 10 or 15 years. You get convicted, you appeal, and maybe you get out after 10 or 15 years. They feel like you still did some time. And right now, the way they're doing Brian Koberger, he's doing the time whether he did it or not.
Yep.
He's doing the time whether he did it or not. Because you think about it. Let's say the trial starts in 2025, and he's convicted. And then he appeals. And then, after 10 years, he's been convicted. He's appealed. His appeal has been denied. He's on his second appeal. He done 10 years for the crime, whether he did it or not. Once they feel like they're going to get you, they're not going to stop until they get you. Sometimes the government will, the law enforcement. Once they make up their mind, those detectives will harass you until, even if they can't arrest you, they'll be in your face until somebody makes an arrest. And I don't think a lot of people realize just how long Bryan Kohberger could be in jail. And once this if he's convicted, you know, he's going to prison. It's not going to be no vegan meals and, you know, some convenient this or that. It's not going to be that. Once he gets to prison, he's going to do hard time trying to appeal this case. So I'm just saying, this is not going to be pretty for him. And I don't know. He seemed like he can do the time. Maybe I need to just hush about that, because he's doing the time regardless. He's doing the time regardless. That's right. All right. So y'all got any other topics y'all want to bring up? Anybody got anything they need to say? Let me look over here in these comments. We had some really good survey responses. Let me see what the last one was. 60% believe what?
Okay. The DNA. Well,
no, nobody believes it. Hardly. Well, 67% believe it's not going to be there. I don't believe it exists. And I know that sounds extreme, but
they're stalling.
They're fabricating, putting something together, you know, to turn in. But that was a big mistake to waive that speedy trial. That was a big mistake.
Should never have done that.
And they said, well, it's suspicious that the FBI and the prosecutors are back in the house. Well, they should build a castle over there if they want to, because y'all gave them the time. Y'all gave them an infinite amount of time to fabricate more evidence and correct some mistakes they made in the PCA. You gave them the time to do it. And for what? What more are you going to have? Your client told you he was driving around. They don't have his phone records for that period. Work with that. Let us know why this guy didn't do it. And all of these things they're putting out, Diem and Bethany, dispute some of it. Okay? Because when you file a motion to throw out the indictment and give us the discovery on the DNA, those things are sidebar type of stuff. You know, the meat and potatoes of it is my client didn't do it. This is where he was. This is proof that he didn't do it. Make some statements to put some thoughts into people's minds. But that's not happening. I haven't gotten any of that from the defense in the past 2 or 3 months. I haven't got anything. The only thing I've got from Antel and the defense team is fighting technicalities. We haven't gotten anything remotely close to what I'm talking about since she said Bethany had exculpatory evidence, and that died down quick. Had everybody all riled up. What does Bethany know? Everybody was saying Bryan and Bethany were dating, and that just died out.
I don't believe that one.
Why not?
He just doesn't seem like he would be their type.
Right. She did say that there was no connection between him and the victims.
Yeah.
She did say that.
You know what this case has turned into, and no disrespect to the families and no disrespect to the victims. It's kind of like Snow White, you know, like when she goes to sleep after having that apple, and then somehow she wakes up, and then hopefully you wake up and there's going to be some new evidence or new results. Because I feel like I'm turning into a bear where I'm going to like go hibernate for the entire winter, and hopefully when I wake up, like, wow, like all this stuff, you know, because I mean, no disrespect.
Right,
but that's how this case is going. Like it's just in that it's navigating in that direction. Like the bears are going to sleep, and they don't wake up until May, and they go to sleep in November, and it could take that long for the new piece of evidence to come through. Who knows?
Right.
If that makes any sense.
It does. That's a great analogy, because when you think about it, we haven't really, people have gone so far to say the whole thing is fake and nobody died. They got so frustrated. I think that's a bit extreme, but you know, this is just that in a milder sense. I don't understand it either. I don't understand it either, but we're getting more information little bit by little bit. I believe we're going to continue to get leaked information until we can form an intelligent conclusion, because we already know it's money involved. That's not big news. We know there's money involved.
Yeah, it's money involved. I definitely think it's the D word involved. And if that's the case, then those two right there, I mean.
Yeah, you don't have to kill 4 kids.
No.
You know, to keep money at a college. As a matter of fact, if you're the president of a university, you don't want any violence going on around those kids, because that's where your money is. That's where the real money is. They'll lose more than $170 million if they couldn't have said they had a suspect. University of Idaho would have been done for a little while. You know, it would look like a ghost town at that school if they were with a suspect. You know,
what it was. Yeah, that's what it was almost turning into, because a lot of students wanted to leave the campus because they were fearing their lives.
A lot of them did.
Yeah, they did leave the campus, and that's why I think the president said we got to come up with someone we can get as close to, like, you know, that possibly could have done this, and that's how I think they came up with him.
Yeah, I don't know how that school does it, but I know our semesters start like the end of the first week of the month, like in August August, the third week of the month. In January, it doesn't start right away. January 1st, it starts like the 14th or something like that. So if they hadn't had a suspect by the end of the last day of 2022, a lot of kids that did come back would not have.
Right, and it was only a week out from a little over a week out from Thanksgiving when this happened, and you know, I mean, that's when they would normally have a break.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this actually kind of made sense in a way, because they probably wanted them to do this, so they figure they can stir up some chaos and turmoil, and that way it would kind of give them some whoever did it a break on this, and they figure, okay, well, they're going to go away for a while. You know, they might actually like let off the gas until they come back. I mean, that's a possibility too.
Yeah, because I imagine a lot of kids didn't come back from Thanksgiving break.
Right.
Because of it.
Yeah, a lot of kids, when they got home, they didn't even want to come back.
I would have came back. I would not have. That's
probably not. If that were me, would be pretty concerned by that too.
Yeah, because it was other deaths. That wasn't the only tragedy. WSU had, I think, 2 students that died.
And that's what I mean by all this. This is how I think that's why I don't think this was any type of serial thing. I don't think this was just one person. I think this was a targeted thing that took place for a reason. And it's kind of maybe symbolic to the other things that might have occurred, you know, at the other school itself.
Right.
Because these things could have led up to this thing. We don't know that yet.
Right.
I mean, if they were hanging out in Pullman, for instance, and God knows what transpired over there, we don't know that. That could have even led up to maybe possibly that Halloween party, and then eventually got into the actual, you know, what took place with the unalives.
Right. Yeah, they would have lost more than 100.
I think there's a connection. I just think there's a connection someplace. I do.
There is, and they would have lost more than $170 million. I think they probably did lose that much already. And look at how much this case is costing. I think they would have lost in the billions because they also get federal. That's a state school, so they get federal money based on the student head count.
Right, and baffles me because when I was at NYU, I didn't have to sign an NDA. I mean, I never heard of that in my life.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I've been like, I don't think so. I'm not signing that. Were you crazy? Because if I got to sign it, I'm like, okay, what is it that you're not telling me?
Right.
That's very strange. Yeah, I mean, Harvard doesn't do it. Yale doesn't do it. All the Ivy Leagues, University, Dartmouth, Brown, I can go on and on. But they don't do none of that.
My school doesn't do it either. I didn't sign a non-disclosure.
Any Ivy League school doesn't do it. Even the party schools don't do it. Right. I mean, I never heard that in my life. That is really, really bizarre.
Right. And my school is private, so they could have tried to do it. You know, they're not Ivy League, but they're private, so they could have, if that's what they felt like they wanted to do, and they haven't even done it. So you're right.
So in other words, basically they're saying is like we have a lot of things that take place in this town, or maybe 15 minutes away, and whatever you see, whatever you hear, it can't be mentioned. That is just messed up. And how do you ensure my safety or their safety? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Right.
So
well, I hope Bryan Kohberger holds up. If he didn't do it, I hope he holds up, because this could turn into a long road.
I got a feeling you're right about this. I think that's what's going to probably take place. I hate to say it, but I think this is going to be dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged through the mud. I don't know how many times.
Well,
I hope I'm wrong.
Do you think if he's convicted that he'll hold up? to go through the appeal process, or do you think once he sees that he can't beat the case, he might harm himself?
It's a possibility on that one.
He seemed like he's pretty comfortable in jail right now. If you ask
As
me.
of now, until a verdict would take place, then that's a whole different scenario.
Right. Well, it's honestly,
he could put on that persona, that cocky, I wouldn't say tough, but that cocky persona and that pompous thing, and then all of a sudden, when that verdict comes in and it doesn't go his way,
right.
He may change his demeanor will change real quick.
Yeah. And I'll be up front right now.
I just don't know when it's going to happen. I mean, to me, like I said, it's like going to sleep like a bear and just waking up for like another 6-7 months.
Right.
And then there's no guarantee there's even going to be a trial at that time.
Yeah. And so, this trial is even, look how much they spent to arrest Bryan Kohberger.
That's ridiculous.
They're already in the hole $1 billion.
17,000. Okay. Then what it cost for the flight from the Poconos back to Idaho was like 17,000 or something like that.
I heard it was more than that.
For what?
Let me write it down. I heard it was more than that. I'm telling the truth. Let me write it down so I can go back and dig and get the facts.
Yeah, because I know it was up there. It was quite a bit. And then the pay, I mean, I never heard of any public defender being paid that much money for a case like this.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah. Because listen, hundreds of millions of dollars, that's no money. That's no money anymore in 2020 in the United States. If you're not talking billions, you got rappers that got billions of dollars. That's no money. That's no money. And that's not taking a shot at rappers. Let me make sure I let you know that. But man, you got individuals that came from nothing walking around with billions. You know? So $170 million, that's no money. That's not a motive for anything for
that's one album. There you go.
That's spending change for the president. That's his bonus. You see what I'm saying? That's not money. They have already spent billions, and they're gonna spend billions more. Okay, and when you involved with organized crime, partnerships and business and stuff like that, and you have investors that are billionaires, it gets a lot deeper than that. I just keep seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, even when whatchamacallit was on trial, when Gotti was on trial, it didn't take this long. I mean, it moved pretty fast, and we're talking about a whole entire massive organization nationwide and all over the place. I mean, come on. There's just something not setting right here.
They're getting paid by the hour. That's what's going on.
But they're not doing anything.
Well, that's usually how it goes. If they do
they're milking it.
If they do something, they might lose the job.
Yeah. I know, but yeah, exactly. Because God forbid if they actually lift a finger and work, they'll lose their pay.
Yeah, that's how you become governor of the state. When you cover up a quadruple homicide, that's how you become governor.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right about that. I really do.
Yeah, that's how you move up the ladder by turning a blind eye and just throwing dirt over these cases that make the state look bad.
And I said this to you before in the chat, and it wasn't even on live. And I said, I wonder if they knew that this this could possibly happen to them, and there was rumors about it. They heard things, and they just ignored all the signs or the whatever the case may be, and they said, they're just playing around. They're not going to do who knows? Right. But I just don't know why that what's her name Kaylee came back to that for that weekend, because I just think it's just such a coincidence. She came back the same weekend to show her car to what's her name, and then she lost her life. It just doesn't. That baffles me.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
They knew that she was coming into town.
Yeah.
Whoever lured her in the town. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just too coincidental.
At best, they waited until they knew she was going to be there.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. They waited until she was going to be there. So whatever happened from the grub truck that night, actually from the walk with Adam to that grub truck, or correct. Let me reverse it. From the corner club to the walk that night, whoever was walking him to the grub truck, and then that's where all this kind of just was all building up, and it was being organized.
Right. And then going
That's
back
where I think that's where the missing pieces of this puzzle are.
Yeah.
And also,
go ahead.
yeah, what happened with Ethan and X when they left the frat house at 9 o'clock? Where the heck were they from that time before they got back to the house? That's a big gap.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that Bethany did have a car. We were trying to figure that out, and I've been hearing through different sources, it's unconfirmed, that Bethany did have a car, so her car was not there that night. Because
that's interesting.
We got the place on pictures, of it taped off, and we know what cars were there, and her car wasn't there.
That's why I'm still questioning if they were really in that house.
Right.
Because her car was out that night, and let's say if Dee was with her, we don't know that. And there's really no cameras on that property because they didn't mention really anything about the cameras. There's no proof of them actually going, coming home or, to back up their story. How do they even know that they were really in that house that night?
Right.
She could have been with Bethany.
Well,
and this could have been being orchestrated. Who knows?
And if they planned it, let's say whoever did this planned it back in September or August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kaylee moved out suddenly. She moved out like 3 weeks before it happened. So they were planning for her to be there. And then
why the heck would she come back if she moved out that quick without even getting her security deposit back? I mean, no one does that, and she was scared for something. Why would she come back?
Right.
That's what's really messed up.
Yeah, you're
right. To maybe see Murphy? Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know, but
she probably had the dog with her. She probably brought.
Did she have it with him, or did Jack have him?
I think she had him, and she brought him. Probably brought him. I mean, for him to be there at the house, she had. Well,
interesting because they claimed that they were sharing the dog, but the parents live 90 miles away from the school.
Right.
That's a good distance.
Yeah, it is.
That's like 3 hours at least.
The only parent that I believe even came to check on the kids was Xana's dad. Xana's dad.
Yeah.
Xana that night. Xana's dad was there the week before, changing the locks on her bedroom door or something like that. He's the only one. I believe that Mrs. G stated that she hadn't been to the house since they moved in. The only parent that had been there was Xana's father.
When did he show up to change the locks?
1 week before this happened.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. He came all the way from what? Nevada, Arizona. I'm sorry.
Unless things were being stashed or stored in her room, and she had a new combination or new lock that she didn't want anybody getting in.
Right. And then,
which is a possibility.
Yeah, because they say Ethan got in the fight, and they're already in the chat talking about David Loach.
Yeah, but what happened to him, if that's really true, which I believe, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you're talking serious hatred to do something like that.
You know who I'll call to the stand when the trial starts? Who I would love to hear their testimony is Hunter. The one with the
isn't that his brother or his friend?
All I know is he's the bartender. They were roommates, him and Adam.
Yeah.
I would love to hear his testimony because he's on all the body cam, just about everything that happened about this. He was 100% involved, and they said that he was, LGBTQ.
Well, he showed up there. He came out on the patio when that Rosenthal cop showed up to talk to Kaylee. Remember about the noise complaint?
Yep. And they don't want to admit it, but I believe he's the one that they say he's the one that made the 911 call, and that he went and checked Ethan's pulse.
And he couldn't say right there that Ethan was not alive.
Yeah, that it was more to it than just an unconscious person. They said Hunter is the one that called 911. Yeah. Jack D could have been the one to lure Kaylee. Leslie,
I was thinking that too. That is a possibility.
Yeah, but once she got there, he didn't have anything for her.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. You know? I mean, I don't trust that little weasel. I really don't.
Nobody does.
Something about him that I just don't like. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
the only thing is when the father said, what still baffles me, they didn't have to go upstairs. I mean, there's no proof that that's how that whole thing took place.
Right.
Because I still believe they like I said, they were hiding, and they were hiding in that closet where they were hiding. And I think they were ambushed. And I don't think there was not much of a nice conversation going on. I think it was just down the business. And it was probably within an hour they tied them up and, forgive me for saying, bounded them, and they probably tortured them, forgive me for saying, and then till they succumb to their injuries real quick.
You think Maddie and Kaylee were hiding, or Xana?
No, I think whoever did this, they were hiding in the house.
Oh.
And they were just 100% ambushed. I don't think there was no arguing. I think this just came out and just wham, it was on.
Well, if that's the case, then Brian Koberger couldn't have done it, because unless the phone pings are not right, because they're telling us he was still in Pullman.
Right. I don't think they came out of the shadows and said, "Hi, how are you guys?" You know, it wasn't like that. It was just down the business.
Right.
They could even taken the dog and just threw him into.
Well, that's another mystery. We don't know how the dog got in the closet. At least I don't. I feel like, like you said, the dog could have been scared and ran in the room and they shut the door. Or somebody put him in there. And that's another problem for Diem and Bethany. How did the dog get in there? These are still problems we have. I don't want to bring up any other new points. Okay. I'm going to bring this live to a close. The chat rate is low, so I think everybody's either getting ready to run back to work or whatever. But I want to say thank you to everyone who came out. You brought up some awesome points tonight. Really awesome points. And also, I want to remind you to please like the live video so we can get some more, get it shared around, however that works. All right. Thank you to everybody who bought merchandise. Thank you to everybody who donated thus far this month. I appreciate you. Anybody supporting the channel, words can't describe. I would just say awesome. All right. Thank you to all the international viewers. Thank you to everyone that watches these lives on replay. Thank you. God bless you all. And I also want to wish you happy holidays. I hope you don't become stressed out over the holidays trying to shop and show up to all of these gatherings and stuff, because a lot of tragedy happens over the holidays, including this case right here. Look how close it happened to Thanksgiving. And so that may have been an accident, and it may not have been an accident. All right. But I want to say thank you. If you would like to support the channel, international viewers, the best way for you is super chat stickers. But for everybody in the United States, I do have a Cash App and PayPal. I usually post it over there on the community channel. On the community page. If you would like to go over there sometime and find it. But thank you to everyone who supports the channel by viewing, coming in on the live. Thank you, Sally, for coming on stage with us. Bless. We got Davino, our regular guest speaker, always giving us a good time. And
good times. Yeah.
I appreciate you all. All right. And so tomorrow night we'll be having our 8:45 live with some new content to talk about. I don't want to put everything out here today. And so I'm going to bring it to a close. We will not be having prayer today, but as I said before, that's up for the private members only lives. But since we had low turnout at 12 p.m., I didn't know this many people were going to actually come. And so I opened it up to the public, which everybody's welcome. I don't mind doing that. You know, I really love everybody. Thank you for coming. But when I do those, that's for the private. So members, if y'all want your prayer, you're gonna have to show up at 12 o'clock or at least 12:05. Well, I know I got enough people for a private live. That's the only way I'll do it. So if you need prayer and you missed it today, just email me. Let me put my email on the screen, and we'll do it like that.
Do that. And yeah, no worries. I'm gonna get going. I have to get back. I gotta deal with some clients. I will see you tomorrow night at 8:45. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Davino. Much love to you.
My pleasure. Tanti d'amore, tanti d'amore, and tua famiglia felice ringraziamento. There you go.
All right.
Hey. All right.
All right. All right, people. I will see you on tomorrow night. Thank you so much. And I will I was looking for my email. Just a minute. Here it is. Okay, here's my email. And I will see you all on tomorrow.